Right now, we're getting into how these new primaries this week are advancing what looks like a takeover of the GOP by conspiracy theorists and January 6th rally attendees.
I decided to raise as much money as I could within a 3-day period to take as many people to D.C. as I could.
I'm the only candidate in this race that the president has admiration for.
Radical groups like Antifa and BLM were funding riots and fueling fires to burn down our cities, while left-wing liberals paid their bail.
I think the election was stolen personally.
And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to return this country back to its former glory. And if I got to kick down doors, well, that's just what patriots do.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And if the extremist drift of the Republican Party doesn't concern you, check your pulse or check your understanding of American ideals. Dangerous far-right gangs that used to be the shunned lunatic fringe of society are now the mainstream of the Republican Party.
The Republican Party is radicalizing against democracy before our eyes, even in the aftermath of the electoral defeats it has sustained, or perhaps more accurately, because of them. As the Atlantic's Ann Applebaum tweeted today, quote, "The relief some felt after the election is over. The Republican Party is no longer committed to America's constitutional tradition. But we are a two-party system. Eventually, they will win again. And then we can't count on them preserving our political system." You see it everywhere you look. You see it in the states where the big lie is spreading. Audits being called into question. You see it in the Republican attempts at voter suppression, particularly from the mainstream so-called Republican officials. You see it in the politicians who are rushing to stake their claim with the MAGA hordes, people like Congressman Matt Gaetz, who are using increasingly openly violent rhetoric.
This is a little history lesson for all the fake news media. The Second Amendment is not about hunting, it's not about recreation, it's not about sports. The Second Amendment is about maintaining within the citizenry the ability to maintain an armed rebellion against the government if that becomes necessary.
A KKK lynching on Monday, a 3%ers hate rally on Tuesday, and then chair the county Republican Party meeting on Wednesday. That's your typical right-winger schedule these days. We see local Republican groups blatantly insinuating violence, threatening assault, and of course working to destroy democracy. The fringe maniacs are now front and center, and sadly, it does come as little surprise. It's been a while since there have been anything remotely conservative about Republicans. They spend and inflate government more than anybody to support their own agendas. Their moral values are maybe one notch less than full-out satanic, and finally, there isn't a one of them that has the faintest notion of the philosophical principles of good governance.
This is reflected in an incredibly worrying new study that found nearly 1 in 4 Republicans believe the government, media, and financial worlds in the U.S. controlled by a group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles who run a global child sex trafficking operation. 28% of Republicans believe there is a storm coming soon that will sweep away the elites in power and restore the rightful leaders. And most concerningly, 28% agree because things have gotten so far off track, true American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save our country.
But the truth is, it has nothing to do with any of that. And people that still cling to a notion that these Jacquelines promote any vision of values, policies, or model of government are very sadly mistaken. They are opportunistic fear and hate mongers looking to leverage the very worst in humanity to expand their own power and their own abuse of the system. They've won over lunatics, conspiracy theorists, and hate groups with 100% favor. That's their base. Their most ardent supporters and leaders in the party of the people who turned out with loaded weapons under banners of hatred and violence to overthrow the government on January the 6th, to put a know-nothing, do-nothing swindler of a con man in permanent power and ripping the Constitution and America up forever in trade. There was a time when only the shadiest actors dog-whistled to these vile elements of society, but now they're the most valuable part of the party. A fundamental base they must appease. Bigotry, contempt, and ignorance are the holy trinity of modern Republican politics. The more you have of each, the further you'll go in the party. And you must never speak out against any of these sins. You must not upset the base, you know. For instance, the only dip in Trump's approval amongst his base was when he revealed that he got the vaccine. Of course he did. Donald Trump despises these very people that vote for him. He's not about to risk his life for what he sees as human trash. And if they're dumb enough to risk their own lives and sacrifice to inflate his own stocks and his own political prospects, that's a winning deal. The Republican Party has always been questionable in its propensity towards selling out all morality because of their insatiable greed. But now that Donald Trump blew the lid off of political insanity, the worst actors amongst humanity now see Republican politics as a wonderful home to promote their pure evil. Republicans have a base of voters who will justify any action to uphold the divinity of their heroes. When Trump told the Proud Boys to stand by, they all passed it off. Oh, he condemned them so many times, blah, blah, blah. Then guess what? They all did stand by, and he unleashed them on January the 6th, just as long planned. And of course, once again, their base is so blind and ignorant they fall for the bit that it was a peaceful protest and fully legal because the election was rigged. Funny, months before the election, Trump said that it would be rigged, but only if he lost. Why weren't you morons working on securing the elections then? But that's the root of the problem, isn't it? When the voters are completely mentally inept and are fully at the mercy of their political party, things are bound to degenerate pretty quickly. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.